All children deserve a caring home, a place to grow and flourish, a safe space to make mistakes and learn how to improve. But it is an unfortunate truth that not all children are gifted with this kind of home life environment. This seems to be the case in specific with today's Jane Doe. This is the case of Opelika Jane Doe. Before we jump into the case, I would just like to remind everyone that my sources are pinned to the top of the comments section down below. Now, if you have a case that you are wanting to suggest, I have a submission form linked in the description box. You will also find relevant case information such as numbers and contact information for today's case in the description box down below. And now, on to today's case. It was on January 28th of 2012 that a skull was found in the 1700 block of Hurst Street in Opelika, Alabama, inside a wooded area behind a trailer park. Following the discovery, the police were called, and over the course of a week, a grid search was conducted in the area with the hope of locating further remains. Now, in the end, only a few bones and a clump of hair were located. In addition to the bones, a pink long-sleeve shirt containing heart-shaped buttons and small ruffles near the neckline was found. The exact size couldn't be determined on any tags, but Sergeant White of the Opelika Police Department has stated in an interview with The Missing and the Lost that it appeared to him to be a typical size for children between the ages of 4 and 6. Analysis of the skeletal remains revealed a troubling story. Jane Doe was a black child, most likely between the ages of 4 and 7 at the time of her death. The young girl had black hair that was styled in small, tight curls, and she most likely had brown eyes. It was evident from the skeletal remains that Jane Doe had been malnourished, and police theorize that she could have looked sickly and possibly smaller than her real age when she was alive. Now, in addition to this, it was clear that Jane Doe had suffered prolonged physical abuse throughout her short life. Though it has been mentioned by police that there was evidence of past injuries to Jane Doe's bones, the exact type of injuries has not been released. In addition to these findings, Jane Doe most likely had a deformity or some sort of scarring to her left eye, which may have left her blind in that eye. Police believe it is likely that when Jane Doe was alive, she displayed poor personal hygiene, she may have appeared underdeveloped, and may have had difficulty interacting with others around her. Jane Doe most likely died between 8 months and 2 years prior to the discovery of her remains. The death was ruled as a probable homicide, and no cause of death has been publicly released. Isotope testing was eventually performed by the University of South Florida Institute of Forensic Anthropology and Applied Science, and Lieutenant Jonathan Clifton announced that it was likely that Jane Doe was native to Alabama or to a neighboring state. Since the discovery of Jane Doe, no one has come forward to claim the child as their own. No one has come forward to successfully prove that they know who Jane Doe was. Jane Doe was just a child taken too soon after a horrible life filled with abuse, and not a single person seems to know or be willing to say who she was. Officials from schools, the Department of Human Resources, the FBI, and multiple other agencies have assisted in trying to identify Jane Doe, but so far her identity remains a secret. Now, Sergeant Richard Converse has been quoted as stating, "I think this child was not exposed to the general public, and that's possibly why she was able to go unnoticed." Jane Doe was likely not enrolled in school or allowed to associate with people outside her home. In 2016, though, a breakthrough seemed to be developing. A woman came forward stating that she believed she had interacted with Jane Doe just months before her remains were found. The woman worked for a vacation Bible school at the Greater Peace Church in the summer of 2011. She shared images from her time at the vacation Bible school, which she believes depicts Jane Doe. The girl in the images clearly has a deformity or scarring around her left eye, which matches the findings from the medical examiner's office. Now, this potential sighting of Jane Doe would line up within a window of time that she may have been alive. While no one has been able to confirm for certain that the girl in the images is Jane Doe, no one has yet come forward to claim the child as their own or as someone they know who is still alive. These images have been shared widely, and still no one can positively identify the girl. To this day, Opelika police strongly believe that the girl in the pictures is indeed their Jane Doe, and they had the images enhanced to give the public a better look at who they believed Jane Doe was. These enhanced images were released in May of 2020. The woman who provided the original images has stated since then that she believes the enhanced images depict the real-life girl better than the grainier originals. Some have pointed out that the girl in the images appears to be well-groomed, which would not fit the description of Jane Doe given by police. To counter this, many have pointed out that churches will often have extra clothing and hygiene items on hand, and that they would be more than willing to help clean up a child and give her cleaner clothes to wear upon arriving at something like a vacation Bible school. This seems to be a great way to explain why the girl in the images would appear more put together than expected if she is indeed Jane Doe. Now, on the other side of this, though, it has also been pointed out that the likely texture of Jane Doe's hair would have been quite difficult for someone to quickly fix up if she had arrived disheveled before sending her out to enjoy the rest of the day's activities. Styling the type of highly texturized hair that the girl in the images seems to have can often take hours, and was described by multiple people on Reddit as being a day-long, exhausting experience for both the child and the person styling the hair. Another issue brought up in relation to the images is how Jane Doe would have gotten to the vacation Bible school. Now, if her parents or caretakers had been careful to keep her a secret, had refrained from enrolling her in school, etc., then why would they allow her to attend a vacation Bible school? If they didn't explicitly allow it, then how would Jane Doe have ended up there? Many have pointed out that vacation Bible schools will often send out buses to neighboring areas to pick up kids to bring them back to the church for activities. This seems to have been confirmed as well by people who are more local to the area of Opelika and the Greater Peace Baptist Church. So it is possible that Jane Doe just wandered onto one of these buses on her own. It's also possible that at the time that this occurred, Jane Doe's parents or caretakers may have been away, possibly even in jail, and that she was staying with someone else who allowed her to attend. This could also explain why at the time of the pictures, Jane Doe may have looked more put together. So what makes police so certain that the girl in the images is Jane Doe? Well, they of course can't know for sure, but they do strongly believe it to be her because of the deformity relating to her left eye, which isn't particularly common and was something that they believed would be present on Jane Doe even before these images arose. Now, in addition to this, no one has been able to identify the girl in the images as someone other than Jane Doe, which should have been a simple process when the images were widely shared within Opelika and neighboring areas where children may have come from for something like a vacation Bible school. In addition to this, the Greater Peace Baptist Church is only a couple of miles as a straight shot from where Jane Doe was discovered. Now, by vehicle, it is approximately a 3-mile drive. So the church was in rather close vicinity to the discovery site. Now, whether or not Jane Doe and the girl in the images are one and the same, though, police believe that the location of Jane Doe's remains strongly suggest that the person or people involved in her death are familiar with the area, and they may even be native to Opelika. According to Sergeant White, whoever did this to the child lived in the trailer park and is from the area. This is not an area where an outsider would stumble upon, find, and dump a body at. It is also important to note that potential reports had been made about a foul, decaying type of odor near the trailer park in the fall of 2011. Now, this would line up with a potential window of time in which Jane Doe's remains may have been left in the area. If this smell had been related to Jane Doe, then it is also important to remark that the possible images of Jane Doe from the Vacation Bible School were taken in the summer of 2011, which would also support the theory that the girl in the images is indeed Opelika Jane Doe, and that her remains may have been left near the trailer park in the fall of 2011. There has been a lot of speculation about Jane Doe's case on online. Many seem to believe that whoever Jane Doe's mother was, she may have been caught up in sex trafficking, unable to escape, and subsequently unable to provide a better home environment for Jane Doe. Other theories suggest that Jane Doe's mother may have also been a victim and is yet another unidentified person who had been left somewhere alone to be forgotten. Some hopefully theorize that Jane Doe had someone at home who was looking out for her, trying to do their best with a bad situation. Maybe a mother, aunt, grandmother, or sister was there for Jane Doe, trying to at least provide her with one comfort by doing her hair. Now, one comment on a Reddit post struck me in particular, though, while I was researching this case. It reads, "I grew up in a very impoverished region, and it was commonplace for children to be passed around to whoever could best feed an extra mouth for the time being. No relation necessary at all. Frequently, the adults didn't even know the actual parents, just the person that last had them. Very young mothers were oftentimes forced to birth at home so that CPS wasn't made aware. Even more disturbing is that home birthing was used as a lesson to the other young girls in the community. The majority of babies born to very young mothers were immediately passed along to whoever would or could take them. Zero legal documentation. So while it is nearly impossible for most people to fathom the horrific reality of a missing child not being noticed and reported, it is a devastating reality for more children than you could ever imagine. They are nameless, they are faceless, they are voiceless. Thankfully, there are people such as y'all that do care and let it be known." While we may not want to believe that these kinds of things happen in the United States, it's clearly a problem that we still haven't resolved. It is highly possible that Jane Doe could have been born in secret, hidden amongst family and close friends, and never truly revealed to the rest of the world until it was too late to save her. Another comment on a Reddit post also sent me back to Google to do some more digging. One Redditor mentioned a man by the name of Kenneth Robinson, who, as it turns out, had lived in the trailer park near the discovery of Jane Doe's remains. This man had been arrested in June of 2013 for the sexual assault of two young girls who had been in the care of his mother as foster children. These particular incidents took place in 2012. Robinson was eventually found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. While looking into this story, I was sure that I would see it mentioned somewhere that police were either taking this man's potential connection to Jane Doe into consideration, or that they had already ruled him out. So it came as a shock to me that I couldn't find any mention of Jane Doe's case in relation to Kenneth Robinson. The fact that the crimes committed were against two young girls, and that they happened within a close time frame to when Jane Doe had been murdered, and that Jane Doe's remains had been found near the very same trailer park where this man lived, would have made me think that this would be headline news, at least in the Opelika area, just for its potential connections. It is my hope that the police have either already investigated any possible connections, or that they are still in the middle of investigating any possible connections. It is very possible that this man has nothing to do with Jane Doe or what happened to her, but it does seem strange that this all happened within such close proximity and time frame, and that the police seem certain that the person involved in Jane Doe's death may have been living in the trailer park. All in all, I would definitely be interested to hear what the police department thinks about these similarities. Over the years, 2 exclusions have been made in the case of Opelika Jane Doe. Jess V. Shockley, who went missing on October 11th, 2011 from Glendale, Arizona, and Angelica Cassandra Livingston, who went missing on June 10th, 2006 from West Columbia, South Carolina. Between the Alabama Governor's Office, the Lee County District Attorney's Office, and the assistance of a private citizen, a $20,000 reward has been made available for information leading to the identity of Jane Doe and to those responsible for her death. If you believe that you have any information related to Opelika Jane Doe, I would strongly urge you to contact the Opelika Police Department at 334-705-5200. So what are your thoughts on this case? I've seen a lot of interesting discussion about this case online, especially when it comes to our personal experiences with what was normal and possible in the areas that we grew up in. I wouldn't have thought it was normal for children to be born in secret and passed around a community without any legal documentation, just based on my personal life experiences alone. So reading the comment that I mentioned earlier about how normal this was in some areas still in the United States really stuck with me. I was also thrown for a loop by the mention of Kenneth Robinson and the subsequent lack of any mention to the possible connection to this case. Again, he may not be involved, and maybe the police have already ruled him out, but I still find it weird that I haven't seen any public mention of it from the Opelika Police Department. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the timeline could line up? Do you think it's likely to be completely unrelated? Just let me know your thoughts about today's case in the comments down below, but of course, remember to remain respectful. Now, as always, I ask that you please help to keep these cases in the public eye by sharing. Share this video, a different video, one of the sources provided down below. Just keep sharing, and hopefully someone somewhere who knows something will come forward and help to crack a case wide open. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again soon for another case.